Hello, welcome to Mooney's Mythic podcast. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Oh, thanks everyone that listened to the first one and have encouraged me to make a second one. It's just gorgeous of you. Thank you. So the first podcast, I talked about Little Red Riding Hood and storytelling, and my friend Lise Wilde, said she wanted more Wilde. And I think she's right. I didn't really talk so much about, I'm feeling it rising up in me as I think about it even. I didn't talk so much about our connection to nature and our connection to the wild and how these stories have been contorted so that they manipulate us and rob us from our rights and our freedoms. And I went to see these guys called the Open Storytellers a couple of years ago. They're a day service that do storytelling with adults with disabilities. And they did this amazing show. And every now and again, they would ask this question, where is your wild? Where's your wild? And my first instinct is I see woodlands and I see my hairy armpits all at the same time. Where's our wild? How tucked away is it? How often do we go to it? That's what I'm thinking about. And that reminded me of a poem by Lucille Clifton that I'm going to read to you. There's a girl inside. She is as randy as a wolf. She will not walk away and leave these bones to an old woman. She is a green tree in a forest of kindling. She is a green girl in a used poet. She's waited, patient as a nun, for the second coming. I love that. I love knowing that green, fresh trees don't burn. When she says she's a green tree in a forest of kindling, that those trees must be old and dry to be called kindling. Yeah, and so I'm recovering from Beltane, from May Day in Glastonbury. Recovering's quite the right word, but it was certainly an exciting place to be. So I thought I'd talk a bit about Beltane here. I'm feeling tender. Interesting. I kind of like my first podcast. I just felt like I was riding it. Like riding it like a horse through, like a wild horse through the pastures and meadows. And now I'm like feeling more like I want to listen and talk at the same time. So I woke up at 3 on Beltane, which is May Day, which is it's a fire ceremony. It's one of our pagan fire ceremonies, our pagan ceremonies from the year, and this one is fire. So it's when we dance around the Maypole. But I think I'm going to take you through my day, and then I'll talk bits about it as they approach. I got up at 3 and I went to the moors, to Dartmoor, because a woman called Hannah Taluki was going to sing the dawn in, and that felt very sweet for me. So I drove up over Haytor. The Morris dancers were already there, and they were banging their sticks to wake up the earth, and there was a gathering. It was really beautiful. There's a whole herd of them across the road. I wasn't sure I could get past at first, but in the end I wiggled and wove around them. And then we got to this gorgeous place, Southcombe Barn. I was just listening to the sound of the birds. And we went on a walk, a kind of circular walk, and the land was a big bowl of a place. beautiful trees, blossom everywhere, cowslips. I love cowslips. Whenever I see a cowslip, I know that, they're an endangered species, cowslips, and they're protected. They're a protected species, and you just know that the land's old and the land's wild. They're so soft, their little dangling heads. And so we were listening to the birds as the sun came up. And then there was a voice in with the birds that sounded so bird-like, but so not at the same time. And it was Hannah. That's just a little piece of the first piece that she did, which was called Cuckoo's Calling. I think Cloud Cuckoo Island. That was right. And it was so precious to hear her singing, to hear her expressing such a unique and deep way of being creative and being with nature. It was just gorgeous. And then I recall that the last thing that she made a sound like a bird. Ooh, 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 ooh. Summer is here. Summer is here. I'm not doing it justice, but it really touched me. So then I sat around the fire for a bit, as it's a fire ceremony, and I wanted to get to the chalice well so that I could jump over the fire. And jumping over the fire is a great Beltane tradition where you imagine our ancestors, would have been in their long johns, wrapped up all winter, in this ceremony of the summer, you jump over the fire and just get that spark up your genitals. Then it's and you're ready for the summer. But when I got to the chalice well, I was too late for the fire. Probably just as well, because I'm pretty incontinent at the moment. I probably would have put it out. So I sort of just watched them unravelling the maypole. So beautiful. The maypole, so many different colours, and such an old and inclusive thing to do. There were children and cross generations all there, jumping and laughing and smiling, and I had another job to do. I was going to the market cross to sing with a choir, so I didn't get a chance to go around that maypole, and I was hoping to get a chance later. I thought it won't matter because later on there's another maypole up at the Bushy Combe. So I sang, and then I went to see the bards, because I'm one of the bards of Glastonbury, and I went to see the current bard, Johanna, and I listened to what she said. It was so beautiful that I asked her to give it to me, and I've got it here. I'm going to read it for you. The trees are full into delicate new leaf. The blossoms of the May tree are so heart-breakingly beautiful it is unbearable. The weather is balmy and the blood runs hot. Sweetness of desire fills us with lust and love. Beltane is not only about summer arriving, but also about the masculine and the feminine, the opposites coming together. We make light-hearted, risque jokes without shame and talk openly about sex with a wink. This is precious and liberating, and therefore sacred indeed. But I've sometimes wondered whether, with all the rough and funny talk going on, with the women wearing energetic red clothes as if we are all fiery and forceful, we're not forgetting an aspect of love, especially when it's the first time, as something frail and vulnerable and subtle, like a flower opening her petals to receive the rays of the sun. This month of May is about the warming earth and the incredible power of the plants pushing out and up towards the light, the cells multiplying, the mandalas of new green leaves and flowers spreading and appearing everywhere in the verges, on the curbs and in the fields. The subtle colours of the flowers, yellow, pink, sky blue and purple. Everything speaks of softness. The feminine movement of the beginning of May is maiden opening up to youth. Not yet woman to man. That comes later, with more experience. The flower energy of this month is powerful but gentle. The goddess of we, women, have worked so hard for empowerment that we may have forgotten that to be vulnerable is a virtue, and that to be chaste or shy is not the same as to be prudish. I took those words with me to see the May Queen. The May Queen was getting ready to meet the May King and get married by the Maypole. And that was very beautiful to see all the women of Glastonbury gathered together, adorning Katrina, who is the May Queen of this year. Yeah, I'm thinking about how needled I felt. This ceremony's been going on Bushycombe for a long time, and the land used to belong to someone else. And when a new set of people bought the land, they said to me, one of them said to me, it's okay for you to do your thing on Bushycombe, but you have to ask permission. And it just really needled me. And another part of me thought, oh, that's, fair enough, and ask permission. But I realised in that moment when I looked around and I saw how many people in the community were contributing so much to this day, and how we've done it somehow. We've got the village back in Glastonbury, and it's a precious, precious thing. And yeah, I felt like othered in that place. You people doing your thing, you need to ask permission. It's like, this is our land, this is our home, this is our community. We're all part of it. So I didn't go up. There's this huge, there's thousands of people, the Green Men and the Maypole, and there's amazing shenanigans in Glastonbury on May Day. It really is a sight to behold. And thousands of people process up the high street and around and up to the hole that the Maypole is going to go into. But I snuck around the different way and went up just to spend, I just wanted to spend a bit of time with the whole, with the quiet of the land. So I went up with my friend, and the hole that the women had dug the day before, we'd dug it and we'd sang and we'd prayed over it, and the mead had been poured gently and lightly inside it, and the outside had been adorned with flowers. It really was a precious and special day. Was there, and there were some women there already, and there was a bower to enter people, where people could enter into the circle around the Maypole, and they were two great bowers, kind of nests created for the May King and Queen. Very, very gorgeous. And then everyone started to arrive. Wow, what a sight. People with horns and people dressed, all the green men dressed in green with paints and leaves all over them, and all the red women dressed in bright reds and sparkles and glitter and furs. Really gorgeous. It was very special to see. And the maypole started to go up, and it didn't go up. It took ages for the maypole to go up. I would say that has something to do with the green men and how much mead they've drank, and that affects perhaps the limpness of the maypole. But they would say to me, I'm sure, that they were edging, and that's a good thing to do when you want to give pleasure with a pole like the maypole. But I had a gig that night in Bristol at the Amazing Folk Tales, the most precious and special place that I love telling stories at, on a boat in Bristol, and I've been doing it for 20 years. So I started to fag out by then, because it was like I've been up since 3, and it was about 3 in the afternoon, and I just wanted to have a quick dance around the maypole. But when my friend heard that I had a gig that evening, she looked me deep in the eye and said, "You need to go home and have a shower." She said, "Wash your hair." So I took myself off, and I didn't get a chance to dance around that maypole. And I had a brilliant night on the Jonathan Sebastian Lightship. I had such a great night. I was so lucky to be sharing the bill with really precious and talented people. They were really going for it that night. Yeah, we had a proper ceilidh, and I got to have a proper dance, and I felt it then. I felt really like the energy of community and the energy of May and summer coming into me, and I wasn't sure how to start my story. So I just kept feeling into it and kind of how to start this story. I wanted to tell this story about a hedgehog. I'm not going to tell it today, but I will tell it at some point soon. But I'm practicing it for a gig about hedgehogs that I've got, and I knew I wanted to start it with some kind of longing, and then I wondered to myself, I wonder if I could tell the story and bring all the elements of my day into it to start the story on the moors, and then to go into May Day and Beltane and all of that, the jumping over the fire. Can I bring all of that through, like as if I've got 2 timelines running at the same time? So I tucked myself up on stage, kind of hid myself in a corner, and when I was introduced, I just found myself going, "Ooh, ooh, 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 summer is here, ooh, 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 summer is here." And then I started the story, and it was like this wild ride of a story. I was rutting and howling and chasing around. It was so bawdy and sexual. It was just, whoa, really, really strong. And I remembered that a Steiner teacher had said to me once that it was the same. She was retiring. It was her. I think maybe she'd retired and she was coming back. She said that in the spring, children play jumping up games, and in the autumn, they play falling down games, like the buds and the leaves. And I just felt that energy like really coming through me. And then I remember waking up in the morning. It feels like a lifetime ago now, but it was only yesterday. I woke up in the morning and I felt kind of muzzy, sort of like, ooh. I thought of Elizabeth Fraser when she sings "All Flowers in Time Bend Towards the Sun" with Jeff Buckley. She kind of, at the end, she kind of makes this like whoo noise, like, oh, I don't know what came over me. And I just lay in bed with this feeling of like, whoa, what came over me? And it felt so good and so right. I thought, wow, this is exactly how my ancestors woke up the day after May Day, whether they woke up with the neighbour's son in their bed or whether they'd been dancing all night or whatever had happened. It just felt good and right to feel like that. And I was feeling a bit sort of abashed by my own wildness, by my own fully entering into the spirit of myself. And I got then that it's not about shagging, as I, can get a bit distracted by. It's not about shagging this Beltane malarkey. It's about allowing the energy to rise, celebrating the rising energy. And as I was thinking that, this kind of celebration of the rising energy, I could feel this maypole deep inside me, like deep in my womb. I could feel this maypole, and like as if I was a Teletubby, I could see this maypole inside me with the ribbons. First of all, they were all colours of the rainbow, and then they were red and white, and then they were all colours of the rainbow again. And then as that image came into my body, I lifted my hands up in the air and I put them together, held them together at my heart. And it was unbidden. I didn't think, oh, I'm going to do that. I just held them together at my heart. And these words came completely unbidden from me. I marry the land. Felt so good. It felt so good. And I thought I could do a bit of a journey now with us. Looking for my beater. Oh, I've got a bit of rosemary. I'm going to beat it with a bit of rosemary. Yeah, so just visualising our beautiful selves coming deep into ourselves, deep into our bodies. Softening. Is there more that we can soften in our bodies that we're holding on to? Relaxing our thighs and our tongues and our eyeballs and our shoulders. Taking the deepest breath that we've taken all year. Feeling the air around us just coming into our bodies. Letting go. And visualising our bellies, that we have a maypole in our bellies. And seeing the rainbow ribbons of that maypole flying in the air on our breath. And seeing all these different aspects of us weaving around the maypole. Our angry places, our happy places, our niggled places. Places that want to just stay in bed, the places that want to get up and go. All the different aspects of ourselves. The wizard, the witch, the lover, the king, the queen, the peasant, the pauper, the devil. And looking to the top of the maypole as these aspects of ourselves weave and move around, seeing that the ribbons of the maypole weave together, and that this is a chance for us to be in relationship with everything inside ourselves. This is a chance for us to weave ourselves in and weave ourselves together, and seeing the old ancient crone in us, and seeing the angels in us, and all different places in ourselves, all dancing and smiling and nodding with each other, waving and clapping hands as they go around, and still we weave, and still we weave, and still we weave. And as we sort of open the circle, there's all around the maypole, there's everyone that we know and love, everyone we've ever met in our life is around that maypole. We see their faces and they're nodding, they're clapping, they're cheering, they're present. They're present with this dance of weaving. They're present with this moment of the summer. And then there's all of our ancestors, all the bones of our ancestors shimmering around us. there's all the fae folk, the pixie folk, there's the insects and the bees and the budding flowers, there's the four-leggeds, there's the standing people of the trees, there's all the elements of the earth, the air, the fire and water, all bearing witness to our movement and our weaving and our movement. And knowing that weaving is always occurring within us, always occurring. It might slow down in the winter, we might put our maypole away, we might hibernate bear-like. And if we've really gone down into that whole of the maypole, down into the caves of Inanna, into the caves of Hades, into the deep, deep underground, then now we're rising up with such richness, so much richness. And yeah, I think that's the key. Deep, still, quiet winter. And now we're emerging. So now that we're woven in with each other, we're woven in with the maypole. Now we're ready for summer. Now we're ready with all our different aspects all coming together. And that's all I really wanted to say in this pod, in the grace of the echo of Beltane, of the wildness and the madness of it all. And I'll do a story podcast next time.